Hello guys, in this video we're gonna learn some basics of fractions. Okay, so let's start. So first of all, we need to know what do you mean by a fraction. Okay, so let's say if I have a number that looks like 2 over 3, so it represents a part of a whole, like a part of a whole number. So basically there is like two parts of a whole and the whole is made up of 3. Okay, so let me draw a picture over here to show you. So let's say this is one whole and it is 3-part whole. Okay, and 2 of them are, let's say, shaded. And if I ask what part of this whole is shaded, so we're gonna say 2 out of 3. Okay, so 2 out of 3, so that is 2/3. So that is a fraction. All right, and in the fraction, the top part over here is called numerator. Okay, and the bottom one called denominator of the fraction. Okay, and fraction can be written in different ways. Let's say if I have a fraction 8 over 3, in this fraction the numerator of the fraction is greater than the denominator. So this kind of fraction, we call them improper fractions. Okay, so where the denominator here is bigger than the numerator, so those are called improper fractions. And let's say if I divide this 8 by 3, this will give me 2 whole and 2/3. So this kind of fraction, this we call this number as a mixed number. Okay, and in a mixed number we got two parts. One of them is a whole, the other one is a fraction, so we call them mixed numbers. So you got a whole number and you got a fraction part, so when you add those you get 2 and 2/3, so that is your mixed number. Okay, so the question they might ask you, like, change this mixed number into an improper fraction. Okay, like for example, they gave you this 2 and a 2/3, and they ask you change this mixed number to improper fraction. So what we're gonna do over here, we're gonna multiply these two numbers. Okay, and whatever we get over here after multiplying, we're gonna add that to this numerator. Okay, so in our case, in this example, we got 3 times 2, which is 6, and then we're gonna add this 2 into it, so that'll give me 3 times 2 is 6 plus 2 is 8, and then we're gonna write the denominator, so 8 over 3. So we got our improper fraction from our mixed number. Okay, now let's say you got another fraction which is 1/2, in which the numerator is smaller than the denominator. So those kind of fractions, we call them proper fractions. Okay, if the numerator is smaller than the denominator, it's a proper fraction. If the numerator is bigger than the denominator, then it's improper fractions. Okay, and we can write improper fraction as a mixed number. That's where you get a whole number as well as the fraction. Okay, and you can change this mixed number into improper fraction too. Okay, so just multiply the denominator with the whole number and add the numerator. So like in this case, 3 times 2 is 6 plus this numerator is equal to 8 over 3. All right, so that was just the basic introduction of fractions, like what fractions are. Now what we're gonna do, we're gonna learn some basic fraction rules, like how we can add, how we can subtract. I'm gonna start with that the improper, sorry, the mixed. Let's say this is one basic rule. So let's say you got a mixed number 2 and 1/3, and we want to convert that into, or change that into, an improper fraction. So what was the rule again? We're gonna multiply these two numbers here, and then we're gonna add whatever you got into the numerator. So 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7 over 3. So you got 7 over 3. And again, numerator is bigger than the denominator, so this is our improper fraction. All right, now let's say they want you to do the opposite of it, you know. So they gave you 7 over 3, and they said write it as a mixed number. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna divide 7 by 3. Okay, so 3 goes to 2, gives me 6, and then we subtract. 7 minus 6 is 1. So we're gonna work in this direction. Okay, what we're gonna do over here, so whatever is our quotient, start with that. You got 2, and then whatever is the denominator, see, we are going in this direction, clockwise direction. So you're gonna write 1 and then 3 over here. So that's how you can write improper fraction into a mixed number. All right, let's do another example. Let's see what we got. So you got a fraction which looks like 21 over 36. If you look at this, numerator is smaller than the denominator. That means this is a proper fraction, so we don't have to write it as a mixed number. The thing we can do is we can reduce this fraction. Okay, so we're gonna find a common number that can divide both of them, the common factor. I believe both can be divisible by 3. So if I divide the numerator by 3 and the denominator by 3, so I got 3 times 7 is 21, and 3 times 12 is 36. So I got 7 over 12, and we cannot reduce more than that. So that's another problem they might ask you. Okay, let's do next one. We're gonna do multiplying fractions, like how you multiply fractions. So let's say you got 1 over 3, you're gonna multiply it by 4 over 6. Okay, so the rule of multiplication in fraction is you multiply the numerator with the numerator and denominator with the denominator. So in this case, you got 4 times 1, which gives you 4, and 3 times 6, which gives you 18. All right, and if you want, you can reduce it further. And let's say if I am multiplying a fraction, with a whole number, what should we do over there? Let's say you got 3 over here. Okay, so we're gonna write this whole number as a fraction. See, 3 divided by 1 looks like a fraction, right? Same thing, you multiply the top with the top and the bottom with the bottom. So 3 times 1 is 3, and 2 times 1 is 2. So let's do the division, how we can divide fractions. So let's go over that. Let's say you got 2/3, and you're gonna divide it by 3/7. Okay, so the rule for dividing fractions is, what you do, we're gonna change this division to a multiplication. Okay, so keep the first fraction same, 2/3, and this multiplication will change, this division sign will change to multiplication, and we're gonna write the reciprocal of this number, which is 3 over 7, which is 7 over 3. So that gives me 7 times 2 is 14 and 3 times 3 is 9. All right, let's do one more. I got 1/4 and I'm dividing it by 2/3. Okay, so what we're gonna do, keep the first fraction as it is and change this division sign to multiplication and flip this number. So flip this fraction. So 2/3 will become 3/2, which is, then multiply the numerator. 3 times 3 is 3 and multiply the denominator with the denominator. 4 times 2 is 8. All right, so that's the rule for dividing the fractions. Next one I'm going over is how you can add fractions. So different ways. So let's say you got 3/4 and you're gonna add 5/4 into it. So in this case, if you notice, both the fractions have same denominator. So what happened in this case, you're gonna write the same denominator, common denominator over here, and you're gonna add the numerator. So 3 plus 5 gives you 8 over 4, and if you reduce, gives you 2 or 2 over 1. All right, so that's the one rule. Now let's say if you got 3/4 and you're gonna add 2/3 to it. In this case, both fractions have different denominators. So in this case, what we do, we need to find a common denominator. And how you can do, you can find a least common multiple and then write it down. But there's another way to do it without finding the common denominator. Okay, so what we can do, so for the denominator, what we're gonna do, we're gonna multiply this denominator with the other. Okay, 4 times 3 is 12, and then we're gonna cross multiply with each other. Okay, so this 3 we're gonna multiply with this 3. So 3 times 3 is 9, and then we're gonna multiply this denominator over here. So 4 times 2 is 8. So that gives me 17 over 12. Okay, so same rule we can use it for subtraction. Let's say you got 5 over 7 minus 4 over 7. Now in this case, both the denominator are same, so we're going to write the common denominator and just subtract the numerator. So this gives me 1 over 7. But if you got different denominators, like 5 over 7 minus 4 over 8. So in this case, again, you can find a common denominator using least common multiples, or the faster trick is you just multiply the denominators with each other. 8 times 7 is 56, and then cross multiply these numbers. So 8 times 5 gives me 40, and 7 times 4 gives me 28. Okay, and then you subtract them, which gives me 10 minus 8 is 2, 3 minus 2 is 1, 12 over 56. Okay, and you can reduce it further. All right, so I hope these rules will help you to review your basics.